What happens when daytime television's warmest smile collides with a royal who treats every question as though it were a royal examination? It was expected to be a cheerful conversation on the Jennifer Hudson show, a bit of California sunshine, a little talk of charity, and a sprinkle of light-hearted stories. Instead, what unfolded was a slow-building clash. Short replies, sharper tones, and one verbal explosion that ended with Prince Harry storming off stage while the audience tried to remember how to breathe. Hold on tight. This one does not crawl, it runs. The band kicked off with a bright riff. The audience rose like a wave, and the lights shifted into that forgiving glow that daytime television seems designed for. Jennifer Hudson floated to her chair with the kind of radiance that could turn any weekday into a holiday. She smiled into the lens, a smile so warm even the camera seemed to beam back. "My next guest needs no introduction," Jennifer announced, her voice wrapping around the words like a hug. "A father, a veteran, an advocate. Please welcome Prince Harry." The applause rolled across the room like thunder. Harry appeared with that familiar half-smile, chin tilted as though the cheers were his due. Gray suit, collar open, his stance easy yet athletic. He shook Jennifer's hand, nodded politely toward the band, and sat down with the air of a man receiving an audience. "Prince Harry, welcome," Jennifer said as she settled across from him. "We are thrilled to have you. How's life in sunny California treating you?" Harry's smile sharpened slightly. "California's efficient," he replied, crossing one ankle casually over the other. "I can go from purpose to outcome without a motorcade clogging the way." The audience chuckled. Jennifer sparkled back at him. "No motorcades helps the gas bill," she teased. "So what does an ordinary morning look like for you now?" "Ordinary is a word people use when they've surrendered," Harry said lightly. "I don't really do ordinary. I do intentional." Jennifer's eyebrows lifted just a little, but she kept the rhythm moving with a gracious nod. "Intentional is good. You've been very intentional about supporting veterans and mental health. Tell me about the project you're focused on this week." Harry leaned in, fingers steepled. "I try not to compress a week into one thing, but if we must simplify it, expanding access, reducing stigma, we're shifting systems, not just creating press releases." A soft hum of approval swept through the crowd. Jennifer kept her tone warm. "You've always had a gift with phrases," she said. "When you talk about shifting systems, what does that look like for the people watching at home?" "It looks like them not asking me to define it," he said with a small, teasing shrug. "It looks like agency." The band leader shifted uncomfortably on his stool. Jennifer's smile stayed in place. She crossed her legs as if the chair had suddenly grown smaller. "Agency is powerful," she agreed. "So let's get specific. You recently spoke about building healthier information systems. What's one simple step you'd want viewers to try this week?" Harry tilted his head thoughtfully, then answered. "Stop reacting. Start curating. Unfollow chaos. Build your inputs like you build a home. You wouldn't invite hecklers to your dinner table." "That paints a picture," Jennifer said, sounding charmed. "And family dinners, do they happen? What does dad duty look like at home?" Harry's lips curved. "Duty is a word other people use. I prefer presence. I'm present. Selectively." A ripple of reaction moved across the audience. Jennifer laughed gently. "Selective presence. That's parenting with a brand," she joked. "All right, let's rewind. You've said California gave you a new start. What did you have to unlearn to take it?" Harry's eyes flicked toward the lights above. "Permission, deference, the belief that silence is noble. I retired from apologizing for existing." "Retired?" Jennifer repeated, amused. "You make it sound like a ceremony." "It was," he said evenly. "I officiated it myself." The audience chuckled uncertainly. Jennifer turned the card in her hand, her tone smooth as velvet. "You've been under microscopes most of your life. If you could tell the public one thing they consistently misunderstand about you, what would it be?" "That I owe them access," Harry answered, crisp and fast. "Strangers ask for keys to rooms they didn't build," Jennifer nodded, still calm. "Fair, but sometimes access helps people understand the work. The reasons behind the headlines. For instance, your foundation," he cut in with a smile. "If people need the press release, they're not close enough to the work." Another murmur passed through the audience. Jennifer let her palms rest gently on her knee, open in a gesture of trust. "Let me try asking differently. Is there a moment, a veteran you met, a message you received that reminded you why you do what you do? There are many, he said coolly. I don't usually turn them into daytime segments. The words landed like a velvet hammer. The audience went still, then cautiously clapped. Jennifer's smile stayed fixed, but something behind it shifted. Understood, she said gently. We don't need names, just the human part. It helps people feel braver in their own lives. Harry tilted his head. Courage isn't a segment, Jennifer. It's a choice. True, she agreed. But sometimes a story sparks that choice. And sometimes, he countered, a story is just a siphon. The camera lingered on Jennifer's face. Still radiant, but with faint storm clouds rolling in. She pivoted gracefully. You've spoken about boundaries. What's one healthy boundary you wish you had set earlier? Answering only questions asked in good faith, he replied with a bright, harmless smile that felt anything but harmless. A few uneasy laughs broke the silence. Jennifer's lashes lowered, then lifted again. She reset smoothly. All right then, she said warmly. Here's a good faith question. When people hear you speak about institutions, it can sound very sweeping. Is there anything you still admire about the world you stepped away from? I admire endurance, he said, even when it's misdirected. And the people? She pressed, soft as silk. Any relationships you still hope to mend? I don't mend things that still cut, he said coldly. I replace them, the studio air chilled. The screen showed two professionals smiling politely, but in the room, the tension was thick. Jennifer inhaled with a singer's steady breath. One more before the break, she promised. You've used phrases like curating inputs and owning your narrative. For anyone watching who feels small today, what's one practice you truly swear by? Harry smiled like a teacher waiting for a pupil to catch up. Stop feeling small. Stand tall. Redefine your circle. Reject anything that dims you. If that offends people, they were just furniture. The audience gasped, half impressed, half unsettled. Jennifer's smile softened, but her eyes searched his face. That's decisive, she said with a faint laugh. All right, everyone, we'll be right back. When we return, we'll talk about service, legacy, and what joy looks like for Prince Harry today. The applause lights blinked. The band filled the air with brass. The director held the wide shot a beat too long, insisting all was well. But even in that forgiving daylight, you could feel it. The room had cooled. The politeness had sharp edges. Somewhere between selective parenting and furniture metaphors, the interview had turned into a quiet duel, and when they returned from break, the duel would escalate.